Hey friends, it is me, Steve Hicks. Season 1 has come to an end of a developer experience podcast, and I just wanted to say a few words before I put this podcast away for a few months. First of all, I spent this season asking others about the systems and tools that work for people, but I didn't really talk much about mine, so I want to do that really quick. If someone were to interview me and ask me what the 3 things that are most important to me in regards to productivity and getting things done, I would say number 1, tracking my to-dos. Number 2, this tool called plus minus next, which I'll talk a little bit about more. And then number 3, maintaining a start list and actually following it. So let's go through those one at a time. First of all, tracking my to-dos. I am a longtime Todoist user. I used to group all of my to-dos by shallow and deep, which was like, if this is work that I can do in a shallow context, like in between meetings, or if I need a large, deep focused block of time. Most things in Todoist can be handled by labels and tags, and so that's what I used to group them. And then as the day went on, based on the kind of time I was in, I would pick from those 2 lists. I'm currently actually in a transition, I think, to a tool called Amazing Marvin. And the reason that I'm looking to switch is I want to assign things to time blocks. This is actually really inspired by the episode I did with Eric Potter this season. Eric talked a lot about the Pomodoro technique and how he mentioned how people seem to focus on setting that 25-minute time boundary, but planning is part of it too, he said. And so I really actually got into that planning side of the Pomodoro technique. And now I'm looking at all of my tasks and I'm estimating them. It's kind of in terms of the number of Pomodoros to do each, but I actually do it in terms of minutes. So I'll put like 5 minutes, 15 minutes, 25 minutes on any task. But the really important thing to me is that I can use those estimates to identify when I'm overloading myself and basically like stack up, a series of tasks into a specific length of time. The second tool that is really important to me is something called plus minus next. This is something that I learned from Anne-Laure Lecomte. She taught she runs the website Ness Labs, NESS labs.com, and writes a whole bunch about productivity and toxic productivity and things like that. But I took a productivity course from her. I believe it's called Mindful Productivity. And this plus minus next tool is like a mini retro. And in the course, she talks about doing it every week. But I found that I actually really like to do it every day. So I have a template in my text editor. And I have a notes repo where I just like keep track of a whole bunch of stuff that's going on, whether it's things that I'm thinking about or things that I'm working on. And it's kind of like you would think. It's like if you've done an agile retro, you talk about plus what went well, then minus what didn't, and finally next, what should I do in this next period, which for me is a day. I also added a previous column to it, or a previous section, where I basically just copy over the previous day's next, and this is just so that I can better remind myself of what I intended to do, and look back at that quickly and say, oh, this went well and this didn't. The plus and minus sections are basically just a single level list. The next, and I guess previous, because that is the yesterday's next copied over, those have a little bit of a structure. I break them into a weekly and a daily section. And within the weekly, I have, I call it ethos. I'm bad with words, so it probably doesn't mean what I think it means. But I basically think of like, these are the things that I'm trying to focus on this week. They're not necessarily task-based. And then I have a section within weekly called tasks, where I list out the things that I want to accomplish that week. And then within my daily section, I just have the tasks that I want to accomplish that day. There's definitely some duplication between my notes repo and my to-do manager as I kind of go through this plus minus next exercise and then get things in my to-dos, but it honestly doesn't bother me too much. The third tool that I mentioned is a start list, and this is actually something, I don't think we talked too much about it in the episode with John Alley-Red. I definitely know it was mentioned. I also know that I mentioned it in an in-betweener about starting your day with intention, and that's what this really is for me. My start list is a thing that I do every day, inspired by John. There are 4 things on my start list. One is that I sweep all of my to-dos, so move things to the next day that didn't get completed, move things to the future that I know I won't get to, and honestly just try to be real with myself about what it is that I think I can get to today and what I know that I can't. Second on my start list is a plus minus next. Like I said, that's like that mini retro that I run every day. Third is to plan my day out with all of my time blocks. So I lay out all of the events on a calendar that I have, and then I lay out all of my open time blocks. So I can see, I might have like an hour before lunch and then like a 3 hour block after lunch. And then I go and assign all of my to-dos to those time blocks. If I haven't already, I'll also assign estimates to tasks, and this allows me to see if I'm putting the right amount of work into each time block. 90% of the time, I don't actually do exactly the work that is in the time block. Like I do more or I do less. Let's be real, it's more often less than what I expected. But this is just a nice way for me to get a sense of what is my day going to look like. I will say Amazing Marvin, the tool that I've been kind of trialing, is really nice. This time blocking feature is really the reason that I am investigating this tool. And then the fourth thing on my start list is a stand-up bot. I guess we have a bot in our team Slack where everyone posts their stand-up or their update for the day. Everything that I'm doing kind of leads to this. Everything ahead of this is leading to this. There's other reasons that I've done it, but I've kind of tailored each of those previous things in my start list so that I can end up in a state where it's really easy for me to write my stand-up. When I started at my current job about a year ago, I didn't have a start list. I was a lot looser with aligning my to-dos with my stand-up, and I actually got really frustrated because I found that I had two different sources of truth. I had my stand-up report and my to-dos, and they never really aligned or matched. Over the last 10 months or so, I've been refining all of my task management stuff so that all of this start list, everything that I'm doing aligns perfectly with my stand-up report. So it's just kind of like, it's a pretty straightforward act to go and generate that stand-up report. All of these things are a response to the thing that I'm running from. That's another question that I liked to ask people. When I started working remotely about 5 years ago, I learned pretty quickly that I needed to feel like I had control over the things that I was doing. Because when I would just drift through the day without any sort of plan, I would feel bad. My self-talk would turn dark and negative and, just feel like I wasn't good at my job and like I wasn't actually accomplishing anything. So now I have these tools and these systems in place to make sure that I at least appear to have control, or I have the illusion of control. I think someone has once told me. I might not have control. I might still be doing work that I wasn't expecting to do that maybe helps others more than helps me. But at least when I'm aware of what I'm working on, I feel like I have agency. And this is, I guess, why this is the particular topic that I wanted to start with for season 1, because I do not have this figured out. It's always a struggle for me. I'm always trying to get better at knowing what I'm going to be doing and being okay with the output that I have. And I think I just wanted to feel affirmed by others who I look up to who also don't have it figured out, just to kind of feel like this is normal. The next words that I want to say in this episode are just a quick summary of season 1. Every episode started from the same place, this basic question of what are the tools and systems that work for you or don't work for you, and how do you feel when they do or don't work? I had, I guess, a theory that I wanted to prove. I wanted to prove that all of us, even the ones who seem like they have this kind of stuff figured out, all of us are just making stuff up as we go. And I intended to prove this initially by cutting up all of my interviews and stitching them back together along certain themes, but I found that was too much work. You probably don't care about that, but I know that I didn't follow through the way that I intended to. I still think playing these interviews start to finish proved what I set out to prove. I think in every episode you get a taste of, yeah, everyone has things that work and has things that don't work. And the idea or the goal is to get to a place where all of it works. What I love the most about this season is that every episode went a completely different route. Despite the fact that they all started from the same place, they all just went completely differently, and in ways that I didn't expect. And in hindsight, as I was listening to them and editing them, it was just kind of like, this is, I had no idea this is where we would be. But I'm so happy that all of these conversations happened. So we talked about things from keyboards to emotional intelligence, from the Pomodoro technique to the idea that no technique was as important as adapting to the people on the team. And all of them were great. I'm super happy with every episode. The next words that I want to say are about season 2. There will be a season 2 of this show. I'm going to put it away for the summer. Well, spring, summer, fall. Fall is when I'll pick it back up. I spent a lot of time outside, so when it's nice out. And I intend to do that instead of editing podcasts. The theme for season 2 is going to be any part of your daily experience that you have a complicated relationship with. It's very broad. I'm looking for things that you love, that you hate, that are challenging and rewarding. It's all complicated and messy. This first season, I focused on productivity systems. And like I said, I realize now that that's because that is my complicated relationship. But I want to be way less prescriptive in season 2 and get into some subjects that I think would have been out of bounds for this season. I still have the intention of really digging into the emotional highs and lows of our daily experiences and those complicated relationships. So if any of that sounds interesting to you, go ahead and reach out to me. StephenHicks.me/where. You can find a way to reach me there. I will be recording episodes between now and next winter. I'm not going to edit or release them until next fall or winter. So please reach out if that sounds fun to you. And then finally, I just want to say thanks to all of you for listening to the show. Way more people listen than I expected. When I did it, I was just kind of like, I'm going to do this thing because I think it's interesting. And if anyone listens, that'll be great. And more people did listen than I thought they would. And some people even gave me money, which was very unexpected. I'm going to use that money to get transcripts wrapped up for season 1. But also just a heads up, if this is you that did this, I love you and thank you. But also, this podcast is going to go dark for probably 6 months. So you should pause your subscription so that you don't feel buyer's remorse for the next few months as I release absolutely nothing. All right, friends. Thanks for hanging out with me. I will talk to you again in a few months. Take care.